Hi, my name is Calibro, and I am here to talk to you about Captain Marvel. Would you like me to keep talking?
No, you don't have to.
Why don't you sing for me again, then?
I'm just a girl, and I am singing. So, Odell gets traded for first round, third round,
Yeah,
and
so
Bro Peppers.
So we're back here on the NFL Now podcast. I'm joined here by Cal. Cal, thanks for joining me.
yeah. How's it
And
going?
so the breaking news that happened when we were at the movies is that Odell Beckham Jr., the Giants wide receiver, has been traded to the Cleveland Browns. What's your first reactions?
So again, we were in the movies, and I happened to check my Apple Watch because it kept buzzing, and people are saying, "Oh, by the way, Odell got traded to the Browns." Now, at first, I'm like, "Haha, I'm getting bullshitted," but no, it was legit. So, I was surprised. I really didn't think they were going to trade him, but I understand it.
Yeah,
because
I get
a
it.
wide receiver on a team that's not going to compete like $16 million a year, or whatever it was, is way too much. And I think that
we can see you well.
All right, cool.
I think we can fill more holes with that money and with those picks and progress the team to rebuild
It's so
quicker.
good 'cause you hit the table. So
Did I hit the table?
Did it tilt it?
The trade table?
Yeah.
On the way out?
Yeah.
It'll make the rebuild quicker, I think.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, you guys got the 17th overall pick for this draft, a third-round pick, and you also got Jabril Peppers, a safety.
Yeah.
I think it's a good haul for a wide receiver that's in his prime right now. That this is the highest he's going to be rated in trade value wise.
Yeah.
And you guys, whether you want to admit it or not, are in rebuild mode. It's a rebuild. You need a new quarterback. You
Cut
need a new team.
Eli.
When is it sucks that we all don't, by the way, like live together in a house because
I would
we
do
could
an
do
NFL podcast
no,
every
but we think about it. We could do so many different podcasts.
I
We could
would
do a different
100
podcast
I
every
would
day.
And we could put
100%
on just the same channel of just like
Yeah,
all
exactly.
different things,
I
like
would
set a
100%
schedule.
I know.
host a sports podcast. with
Yeah.
you guys.
I would
Yeah,
love
good.
to do that.
Dude, it'd be a dream.
I have so much like sports like stuff
Honestly,
that I was
no,
talking
but
about.
like not even joking. Like during the season, if you guys wanted to pick a day to get together, I'll talk. Like I'm off usually Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
If like Tuesday evenings,
Yeah.
which is after Monday Night Football, everything else. If you guys want to get together and talk about the week in
It's
football,
like
I
week
fucking do that.
recaps and then like expectations we can make.
I don't know
pick
where we would
predictions.
put it. We
That
could
would-
make another
that
channel.
would be a blast,
But I would
dude.
totally do it.
We could do like pick predictions. We can do.
We should make a channel that's
recaps
just
of
called
the
like
weeks.
I don't know something. The podcast something, so we could do any
M-Town
podcast.
Pod, yeah, I like that.
Like anything.
M-Town
I
podcast.
don't
Yeah.
like M-Town podcast.
Yeah.
What do you like then?
I don't know. We'll figure
But
it
something
out.
more creative. I feel. I think we need a little bit more
I
juice.
just don't.
Oh,
I
well,
don't
then
want to only
you
associate
guys are
us with M-Town.
You're right. You guys are the marketing majors, so you guys give me some.
I'm not. I'm a
shots.
journalism major.
I'm an accounting major.
Oh, yeah. M-Town because that's where we're all from. That's where our blood is. So it doesn't matter if we're recording in Orlando.
What if we made it? What if we
Florida.
called it the Hometown Podcast?
The hometown. But what's our hometown?
But you don't think
It doesn't
M-Town
matter.
should be a little more juice? I don't mind calling it.
How about
like,
the Juices Loose podcast? And it's a shout out to OJ Simpson.
All right, it sounds good.
All right.
And we could call it featuring the White Bronco. Can we do that?
The White Bronco Podcast.
We can have like R. Kelly on and stuff. Yeah. All right. Let's
I gave you 30 years.
fight for my life, man.
Oh man!
Don't
Did you
use
see
that.
SNL? Did you see
Oh, yeah,
SNL's
Kenan
cold
Thompson,
open?
dude, is so-
I enjoyed it.
Incredible.
I thought it was good.
We could call the podcast Absolute Nonsense.
That's actually not bad.
That's not bad.
That's not
probably
actually bad.
Yeah, we should do that.
Hey guys, welcome back to Clueless Gamers. I'm Pete.
He's always second. He is always
We'll
second.
use Cal and then we'll use Dylan.
I'm Cal.
All right, no, we'll wait now.
He literally said before we started.
I did
I'm
say
gonna go
Dylan
Pete,
and then
Dylan,
Cal.
then
I did
Okay,
say
I
that.
missed that. I
All
apologize.
right,
When you look back, you're just gonna see me smile.
Yeah, we both just went like this.
Yeah, that's actually going to be a good intro I could have. All right, so now we're going to do Cal and then Dylan. You
Okay.
happy with that?
I'm happy with
You
that.
Uh,
got demoted.
I'm happy with that.
You've been demoted to third chair.
That's fine. I'm
All
okay
right.
with that. I'm used to it.
All right, here. God damn it. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Hey guys, welcome back to Clueless Gamers. I'm Pete.
I'm Cal.
I'm Dill.
And we are back to review Captain Marvel. If you haven't noticed from the jacket, I have the shirt on as well. This is my favorite
Big
superhero.
fan.
If you have not seen this channel before in our 2 previous trailer reactions, I love Captain Marvel. I've been waiting a decade for this movie. She's my favorite superhero in DC, Marvel, anything. And this was a big deal. This movie, guys, has had a ton of controversy. Most of it outside of the cinema for different things that has happened, and we'll get into that. But if you've not seen review here on Clueless Gamers, basically we do general impressions. It's like no spoilers. Do likes, dislikes, and then a rating. Very simple stuff here. So I guess, guys, jumping into general impressions, no spoilers, remember. I like this movie. I like it. This is the second time we saw it tonight, the three of us. And, well, actually, we had Dean as well, but he did not want to join us for a review.
My brother.
Yeah, but he did not want. I would have enjoyed his perspective, but he didn't want to join us for a review. So shout out to Dean. But we saw it tonight. This was my second viewing. Is their first viewing, and the first time I went, there was a lot of people I was with that were really down on the movie, and like they some of them downright hated it. And I was like, man, I'm wearing the gear. I was wearing it the first night. I washed it, brought it back again for this. And I was like, man, maybe I'm being biased. Maybe it's me. So I'm like, let me see it with different people. I want to see it a second time, obviously. And I liked it even more the second time. And these guys really liked it too. And obviously they'll give you their thoughts. Yes, it's an origin movie, okay? We're not, this isn't not the Avengers, okay? This isn't Infinity War. It's not Endgame of next month. It's not Civil War or something like that. It's an origin story about this one character with familiar characters and familiar faces that we know and some new people added in. We expand all over the universe. We're in multiple planets, Earth as well, obviously, and we explore who she is and what she's about because to most people who are not me, you don't know who Captain Marvel is. You don't know who Carol Danvers is, and it's important to have this origin story. Now, if you're watching this and going, do I need to watch this movie to get ready for Endgame? No. You don't. You don't need to. You don't need to know everything about her. No. You could just be like, oh, in Endgame, oh, she's this super powerful woman. All right, cool. But it does help. Just like all these movies, it helps to connect the universe, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go. Why not? I feel like it's back on my channel.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not on Yukio Everything?
No, we're not, believe it or not. Yeah,
Shout out.
so general impressions. I really don't like to give general impressions too much because I
keep it short.
I do respect people who don't want to be spoiled about anything. Although if you are watching this, you're in dangerous territory. But we will keep it spoiler free. And I don't want to say something that is a little too spoilery because then I feel bad. But like, I really did like the movie. I liked it. Then again, me saying I liked a piece of media is like saying the grass is green. I mean, it does not take a lot for me to enjoy something. Yeah. I can't think of too many things that I really didn't enjoy TV wise, movie wise, just in general wise. I always try to have a very optimistic view on things. But even I thought it was a well put together film. And as you said, it's an origin story. And I think with Marvel movies, we've been so used to being able to just jump right into the action, jump right into the plot, build up the villains, build up the side characters. Because with Captain America, with Iron Man, we know their characters already. Yeah. We've known them for a decade. Yep. So they don't need to worry about character building for them. Even with Black Panther, which I know some people will say, well, that was kind of an origin movie. We had tastes of Black Panther
in Civil War.
Yeah. So we knew who he was. Yep. Most casuals have never heard of Captain Marvel before. She's never been mentioned once in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, I believe, unless she was foreshadowed out. But the
only thing that's ever been hinted with her is that end credit scene there in Infinity War,
right?
When Nick Fury is calling her,
and that was less than a year ago. Yep. So like you needed to spend more time building up this character, and because of that, I think it maybe took away from action scenes a little bit in comparison to the more recent Marvel movies. Not saying the action scenes in this movie were bad. I actually thought they were pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, overall, I thought it was good for an origin movie. Is it my favorite Marvel movie? No. But I thought it was a really solid movie, and I'd probably put it in like the top half, honestly. I thought it was a good movie.
Wow.
Yeah, so going off that, I agree. I like the movie, and I like a lot of things you said about the movie as well. But I think, again, there was a lot of story building, which a lot of people that, some people are like, oh, it's a superhero movie. I want to see action, 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 action. There was plenty of action.
Yeah,
plenty
there was
of good
a lot.
action, too. Yeah. And it was, it wasn't all over the place, but, you were here, you were there. Obviously, stuff was moving quickly.
Yeah.
Because they had to go from, one place to another.
They had to go one side of the galaxy to the other.
Yeah, literally. Had to go from one side of the galaxy to the other. And, they had to fit everything in. You have a story, like you have to have the plot develop and then have it connect to Avengers.
Exactly.
Right. So there's a lot to get through in maybe 2 hours of the movie?
Yeah, it's 2 hours, 4 minutes.
2 hours and 4 minutes. And I think they did a really good job at kind of bringing her in, kind of rearing her up. Like even when the movie started, how I said there was like a flashback right away.
Yeah.
It just kind of shows that her memories are going to play an important part in the movie.
Exactly.
Which I really enjoyed.
And we see that in the trailers.
Yeah,
we see her memories in the trailers.
And I feel like I love how they tied it in so quickly. Because it's not just like, you're 3/4 of the way through the movie and they're like, oh, by the way, she's having a flashback right now because this is important for now.
Exactly. And that's what I liked.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job developing it. And now going into the next movie, you're not going to be like, oh, who's this super ultra powerful other superhero that they just decided to bring in now? It's like, no, like look back, watch this movie, and you can see she's been here since the jump. Like she started the Avenger project.
Yeah,
like,
she was gone. She was like what 1995. This movie is set.
I thought it was the 80s.
Yeah.
Well, because the crash was in the 80s.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So now we are going. So I would say that's our general impression.
Yeah.
We're going to go into a full spoilers territory here. If you've not seen Captain Marvel and you care about spoilers, shut us off. Put us in. I think it's your save for later. It's called Watch later, whatever it is. Then you can come back and check us out. Then, all right. So you've been warned. 3, 2, 1. All right. So we're gonna go into the section called likes. I have a lot of likes in this film.
Should we, before we do that, because there was so much post-curriculum stuff going on, post-curriculum might not be the best word, going on behind.
So you want to talk about the
I feel like maybe talking
controversy?
about that and then our thoughts leading up to it, I feel like would be kind of a cool.
Fair enough. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So this is why he hosts a major channel.
It's not a major channel, and that is not true. And if without Pete, that channel wouldn't exist. So
Thank you. No, but yes, all right, that is fair to go into. So this movie's gotten a ton of controversy, really outside of the theater, in really stemming around Brie Larson, the character in general being a woman. And that's created a lot of buzz. So I guess starting from the general woman thing, there's a lot of people online, that not only just trolls, there's people who really believe that Disney has such an agenda where they're pushing these female-centric stories. We've seen it in Rogue One with Jen Erso. Like, there's, Rey, obviously, in the Star Wars
Solo, with Han Solo.
And Solo.
That was more
but Kira, I believe, is a huge part in that,
too.
Yeah,
and then,
you see what happens there. So we do see a lot of these feminine pushes. Yes, sometimes it can be a little bit on the nose, where you can notice it, at least in my opinion, where you can notice and be like, I don't know if you needed to push that agenda or this agenda. It doesn't necessarily have to be female. This movie is not that. And this was never the idea. Captain Marvel has been around for decades, okay? She's been a well-established character, even if she's not as known as a lot of these people. And people, you know what pisses me off too?
A lot of things on Twitter piss me off.
People forget. People forget before the MCU started, in the first movie in 2008 with Iron Man, a lot of these characters you see now, they weren't big names. Okay, your Iron Mans, your Captain Americas. You go, how are these guys? These were A-listers, right? In comics, wrong. People like Spider-Man and the X-Men, those were people leading the charge in Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
They made B and C listers, which is what Iron Man and all these people were considered, into household names. Mm-hmm. They made them known where people recognize them more than some of the other big characters back from the 80s and the 90s.
Yep. Yeah. Ignorance is what probably annoys me the most, and I've seen multiple people on Twitter.
So many.
And I look for it, and so I'm guilty of it, and I should never look for it.
I like getting both sides.
I like getting both sides too, but getting ignorant sides is... I find it humorous, and I obviously never engage with, most likely... Well, maybe not most likely, but a good chance they're Twitter bots. Right. There's a lot of bots out there. And people that are like, oh my God, Disney created this insanely powerful woman character just to take down Thanos and save all the heroes that we've been built with for the last 15 years. She has been around for 30 years.
Exactly.
She was always going to be this amazing hero. And Disney had nothing to do with that.
Nope.
So where does this angle come from? It's the most insane
People want to believe what they want to believe.
Well, that's it. And you don't look up facts.
And that's the bottom line. They see a woman, they see a white woman, and they go, yes, she's so powerful. She has Thor-like kind of powers. Oh, it must be she's the ultimate savior, and they're robbing us of all this stuff. Of course it would be a woman. And that's not true. She might not be one of these top people that at the moment that most readers read about, right? Yeah. I get that. I'm in the minority in that. But go back and look. Yeah. Look at the facts. She's always been like this.
Yeah, she's always
This
been
is
there.
always through every iteration Carol's has. She's always sarcastic funny. She's always quick-witted. She's always brave and tough and a badass and super smart. This is what she does. Yep. And now that you're just seeing it on screen and you're mad at that, that's ridiculous. That's an agenda to take down this movie.
Absolutely.
Those people
on Rotten
that
Tomatoes.
were going after Rotten Tomatoes and that they had to shut down
Absolutely.
early user comments, that's an agenda.
Absolutely.
Those people should be ashamed of themselves. It's not Disney setting some agenda for this movie. It's those people setting an agenda that you were trying to tank this movie, which, by the way, made $158 million opening weekend, so you can go all fuck.
I read 455.
That was for globally.
International?
Yeah, that was globally. So you can go all fuck yourselves there for your trolls because this movie absolutely killed.
Yeah,
so she's staying around. So sorry to poo poo on your parade. But yeah, you have people like that who clearly had an agenda, and that's what pissed me off going into
negativity online also festers way more
cancer,
than positivity.
Man. It's a cancer.
So even though there's so many people that are being negative online, it does not reflect how most people think.
And you know why you think it's so many more people? It's because they shout the loudest.
Oh yeah, that's
That's
absolutely it.
If you're like. It always brings me back to like if you have an experience at a store, you go there and everything goes exactly the way you want it to go and you like your experience. You're not going online and writing a Yelp review about how great of an experience you had.
That's a great point.
But if you go there and the service is shitty, right? Oh, wow, this person mishandles what you're trying to get. Or you go to a restaurant, right, and the food comes out cold. Guess what? You're going on Yelp and you're saying, this restaurant sucks.
Yeah.
They don't even cook their food.
Totally true.
They microwave their mozzarella sticks. Like, like stupid shit like that where it's like, that's all you read online.
Yep.
So then if you're looking online on Twitter or on these review sites to try and really depict like whether or not something's good, you're going to see 80 to 20 probably negative to positive.
Easy.
And that might be underestimating it. It might be more negative. Like, and that's why, like, I know you were saying, like looking at Rotten Tomatoes, now people were commenting on it. I never look at those sites until after I see a movie.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I like to go in with my own expectations and then see how a movie comes out. But if you go out there and it's like, oh, well, Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 72, and, Joe and Bob in the comments said it sucked, maybe I won't go see it. And it's like, I don't want my perspective of a movie to be turned negative before I even go into the theater.
That was the agenda of a lot of the people.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I think with this movie especially, a lot of people were like, don't see it because it's just a feminist movement.
Right.
And I was like, I even said to Pete, I was like,
well, we're all straight white males. I feel like we should say that.
We're all straight white males.
So
I understand that you want to say that like this, we're not the target audience, right? And like,
but I don't believe that.
I hate when people say a target audience specifically, right? Because the movie is made for everyone,
it's made
right?
for everyone, yeah.
But I will recognize when something means more to a certain gender or a certain group.
Yeah.
Okay, and I understand it. Black Panther meant more to African Americans in this country and around the world. Obviously, Africans everywhere and people of color. It meant more to them because that was a movie that had their representation front and center, and you had a lot of cultural things that are not usually represented. I loved it, but it is more angled to those people.
And recognizing that, I don't think there's anything wrong with. If it makes you uncomfortable, then I think that's when you kind of have to take a look.
And then we go to this movie here. Yeah. Captain Marvel is the first female-led solo Marvel movie. Okay, Wonder Woman and DC, they beat Marvel, if you want to call us Marvel shills here, which most people probably in the comments will. They beat Marvel to the punch. Okay, that was said. I like Wonder Woman a lot. That was also driven for women. You see girls dressing up for her for Halloween.
Yep.
Doesn't mean everyone else. Doesn't mean three straight white males can't like it. But it is angled for them. And that's what this movie is. It came out on International Women's Day for a reason.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Just like Black Panther came out in February for Black History Month.
Yeah.
Their marketing crew over there knows exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
That doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it. That doesn't mean, it's made for the feminist movement.
It's
I
not
can't
made
go
for
see
us.
this.
Yeah.
I'll be, my masculinity will just evaporate
Yeah.
as soon as I enter the theater.
Man card revoked.
No, that's not what this is. And people need to stop with that. And I do agree with you. I'm normally someone that does not look at reviews beforehand because I never want my perspective changed.
Exactly.
The only reason I heard about this is because it became such a gigantic story.
Well, it was like public knowledge. It wasn't just like you
of
going
people
to look
trying
for it.
to actively tank this movie. Yeah. Thousands of users on Rotten Tomatoes to the point that this major site addresses and shuts down early user comments for any movie going forward because of what happened here. And that's an agenda where people were prepping for this for months. Yeah. That they were, I don't care if this movie is the best thing in the world, I'm going to tank it. And that's what I want to have.
Well, and that's literally their mindset because they didn't see the movie.
Exactly.
It's not like, now if you saw the movie and you had honest criticisms with it, that's whole nother.
Totally fine.
Yeah,
I have my own criticisms.
Fine. Yep.
That's
completely fine.
But don't go hating any movie, this movie, any movie, because you have pre-biases going in that you think, I'm going to hate it. I'm going to hate it because black people are leading it. I'm going to hate it because a woman's leading it. That is ridiculous, and those are the people that are looking backwards. And that's a PSA there. And then obviously also people
took her comment. I wasn't even going to address it.
We'll address it here. Didn't like Brie Larson's comment where she said a few things, but the main one that people were focusing on is that at a press junket, she said that she didn't want all the people that were interviewing her to be all white males. And they weren't there, but she was just making the point that more people should be at the table of diversity, of gender, should be interviewing. She did not say that the movie is not for white men and she doesn't want them to see it, because obviously we saw it, right? Mm-hmm. That's not what she was saying. She was just saying she wanted more people at the table, more women, more people of diversity. That was it. That's all she said. But people read the headline and it cites, wrongly run with this headline of Brie Larson says she doesn't want white people to see the movie. And that's all people look at. They don't look at any of the context of the story of what happened. And they go, you know what? Fuck this movie. I am not going to see it. She hates white men. She hates men. She's not. Is Brie Larson an activist? Sure. Is she a quote-unquote feminist? Sure. What major woman with this kind of platform isn't?
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. You see it all around the world. You have another hero on TV in Supergirl, right? Melissa Benoist is a major activist. She marched in Washington for International Women's Day, I think, like a year or two ago, and held a sign up about it when the whole, we're not getting into politics, but when all that stuff was going on. They have a platform. Of course they're going to do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Are you against equality? Is that where we're really going, that we can't like a movie because a woman leads it now because it's not fair to the men? Oh, I'm sorry. Was there not 18, 19 movies that were led by men before this? And by the way, every one of them but Black Panther were white.
When you say it out loud, it just amplifies.
Exactly, and that's why I want to say it out loud, and because I want to have a conversation about it. Like, come on, what are we talking about here? It's ridiculous.
And we'll get some solid comments for that.
Oh, we absolutely will.
I'm looking forward to it.
That we're having our men cards revoked. We're ultra feminists.
We're betraying the race.
But we're betraying our gender.
And the media twisted somebody's words in an interview.
That happened. That never happened before. Ridiculous.
No. Brie Larson definitely said that white men should never see the movie.
I hate people, and social media makes it so much worse. So that was a good call by you addressing that up front. Now, getting it after all that BS, let's get into the actual movie. Okay, so if you stay long enough, we're in the like section now. I like a lot of things about this movie. Okay. Mm-hmm. I do like that the movie's a little slower paced.
Me too.
Just to start right there. It's an origin film. And you know what? Actually, our friend, to give a shout out here, DJ, we had a conversation on Twitter. You've seen him here on the podcast before and on Clueless Gamers as well. Yeah. He did the Spider-Man Homecoming review.
Dougie W.
He said it felt more like a Phase 1 movie. And he didn't necessarily say that in a bad way. It's just that it's an origin film. It's not this huge buildup that every Phase 3 movie seems like it's being. You know why? Because you've had 10 years with people like Thor for Thor 3. Yeah. Of course you can do things like that. Yeah. Like, no one knows in the general public who this character is. And if you're going to introduce her not only for Endgame, but she's going to be one of the people leading the Avengers, presumably, going forward, you need to know who the hell she is. And I think doing a slower-paced origin movie that sprinkled in some action, you know what? It's a story, too, about PTSD. I mean, she goes through traumatic events of everything that happened, of them basically erasing her memory, coupled with, obviously, the explosion kind of causing some brain injuries there. She moves across the galaxy for 6 years and thinks she has a different name and is on a completely alien planet as part of their elite military force. She's been through a lot. Yeah. And I think focusing on that stuff, focusing on her best friend, focusing on her connection there to Lieutenant Trouble. Those things are important to establish and ground the character, and I really enjoyed that stuff. And I enjoyed the Skrulls and seeing the CGI I thought was really good in this movie.
Yeah.
We're like, and some of the trailers, I think it was particularly the second trailer, I was like, doesn't look that great. But yeah, it was probably unfinished at that point, and that's why. And now you see it in the movie here, and a couple things could look wonky, sure. There's sometimes Captain America's jumping from a building to a next, like in Civil War, and I'm like, that doesn't look great. But that's just your eye and your brain is always going to know what a human being looks like, sounds like, moves like. So of course, if one tiny thing doesn't look natural, you're going to notice it. Mm-hmm. That's just what happens. Yeah. It's a reason why in video games, it's such a hard thing to animate what a human being looks like with the way their mouth moves. I mean, for God's sakes, it's so hard that in video games today, you still can't even animate sheets on a bed. That's why if you notice characters are always sleeping on top of their sheets in movies, in video games, that's exactly why. It's just you can't replicate that kind of stuff, and it carries over to movies as well. Yeah. I still think it looked great. I still think the musical score in this movie was not only great, the soundtrack, fantastic. Totally 90s.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We're set in 1995. She crashes into a blockbuster.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we know where we are. They never forget the dial-up internet and all that stuff. Yep. All that stuff was great. Radio and I loved it. I really liked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You want? Go ahead. You're looking at me like you're ready to go, so shoot.
Yeah, so everything you said, I agree with. Another thing that I liked is at times, the movie, to me, felt kind of like horror / thriller a little bit, which I really,
you don't know who's a scroll and who
isn't. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's you can trust.
Yeah.
And then, like, for me, like, I didn't know that the Kree was bad. I'm sure you knew that, obviously, before the movie started. So when you have the flashback of her holding the gun and it's the guy that she's been like that was like a really good twist.
And they
for me.
edited in her memories to make her think it was a scroll.
Yes, that it was a scroll. That's what I loved. Specifically the horror thriller vibe I got was during the train scene, where she's on the train and she's walking through everyone. The Stan Lee cameo was
what a tribute, not only at the beginning,
the beginning
to have that and say thank you, Stan, but right there to have that. And it's also a shout out to Kevin Smith because he's reading the script of Mallrats, which came out there in the 90s, and so that was Kevin Smith said he cried when he saw that.
Wow.
So that was a big deal for him too. And just she gives that little smile.
That little smile, that was amazing. And it didn't. Like, it wasn't like, oh, that was so... it didn't feel forced at all.
Not at all.
Because it's like an
like
old
every
man
Stan Lee
reading...
cameo.
Yeah, it was perfect.
She like, she had to look at him because he was covering his
face.
She's like, that looks suspicious.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then it was just like an innocent old man.
It was perfect.
Kind of smile.
It was absolutely
But the smile was deeper than that. Yeah. So I got that, like, horror thriller vibe from it at times. And I really liked that element. The characters were all interesting. The whole... I thought maybe it was a little over the top that the Kree were going to such lengths to just wipe out one race, unless there's a deeper rooted history there.
There is a extremely deep
because they didn't really touch on that too much.
They didn't. And we could touch more on that after your
That's
point,
more like dislikes too, but I know I'm just kind of I always am all over the place. But all in all, like I really liked it. I thought it was good. CGI I didn't have an issue with. I'm not really too stingy on that stuff. I thought it looked cool, and I liked it. It wasn't a confusing story to follow.
How'd you feel though about the title character Carol? How'd you feel about Carol?
Oh, I loved her.
What were your thoughts?
Oh, I loved her. Yeah, I thought she was great.
But why though? What do you like about her?
I love the sassiness and the ability to just the cunning, and the cunning and the wit. When she's in the middle of a fight, she can make these like comments and just brush it off. And then at the end, when her full power was unleashed, was great. Another scene that I loved is when she's going up against her pilot, the one that she admires the most. I forget the name. Dawson, yes. Lawson, yes. She's going up against her, and Lawson keeps striking her down. She's like, "Oh, you're just a human with no powers."
Yeah.
She's like,
and remember, that's her being the supreme intelligence. It's not actually Lawson.
Right. It's not. It's right. But still. Right. And she's like, "No, I'm a human. That's why I have powers." And it shows the scenes that we all kept seeing over and over of her dad yelling at her, of her crashing into a wall, of her, the guy kind of reminded me a little bit of you when you were like, why it's called the cockpit, right? And her, crashing her bike and falling on the ground. And we see all of those scenes, and then her just finally, like, being triumphant in all of them. And we know that
perfectly edited.
This is a very resilient woman, a very resilient human being. Yes. And then to see her powers unleashed, Jesus Christ, she is strong. And I hope it doesn't become the Superman effect, where Superman, it's tough, I feel like, to write movies with him because he's too OP. And so I hope that...
In some ways, but he also has a really good rogues gallery, too, in my opinion.
I've only seen, like, the main movies, obviously.
And the people don't show it off. But, like, yes, is she under extreme threat in this movie? No. Okay. No. But, again, who is she fighting that's really an extreme threat?
Right.
Some Kree Star Force guys that really rely on guns and some gravity weapons. Like, she's not really relying on anything, and she still gets punched and knocked around and held back. Like, she still doesn't... If you see in that scene, when she's fully unleashed and she's going after them, she doesn't understand her powers now that they're fully unleashed.
No.
She has that one shot where she hits it and it makes her fly back too, and she's like, huh. Like she doesn't even understand that. And now when we'll get to her, I imagine she's fully mastered it by this point.
Another scene that I loved is when, the guy, the leader of the Kree force is like, he throws puts his gun in his pocket and like gets off his thing and he's like, let's just fight right now. And I thought they were genuinely going to fight. And I'm like, oh, that's a nice...
It's like a showdown kind of thing.
Yeah, which is kind of an homage to the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And then she just blasts him in the chest.
Blasts him. And
amazing
a great line of just saying, I don't have to prove anything to you.
Yeah, and she's right. She's right.
Yeah.
And I love that.
And I hope, if anyone's critical of that scene, because I could imagine people like, oh, she didn't even want to fight fair. Like, how stupid.
Right.
First of all, everything he did to her
it was messed up.
Horrible.
It was messed up.
Second of all, he knew he had literally no chance against her, even with his guns.
Right.
So that's why he just tried to con her into fighting.
Because actually his only chance would have maybe been hand-to-hand because he's taught her everything.
And why would you ever give him a chance to win? No,
after everything that's happened, they just tried to bomb the planet.
Exactly.
She just stopped it 3 minutes before that. Why would she? She's not fighting fair. They didn't.
Exactly. So for some reason, I feel like people would criticize.
Oh
that,
no, I totally agree.
But I loved that scene, and I loved her. She was honestly an awesome character. Right. And Brie Larson, I think she's won a Best Actress award.
She's won an Oscar for The Room, I believe.
Yeah, she's a great actress.
Yeah.
So good for her, man. It was a good movie.
All right, so if there's any other piece of the movie left,
there's a lot, man. There's a lot.
No, I'm just joking. Dylan did well there.
Oh, thank you, dude. I needed that.
So
do you address his point that you do feel like the pilot that made the cockpit joke?
Didn't you make that joke to a girl in our
God,
gym class back in high school?
Everything you say is a lie. No, I didn't.
It's not true. I like the movie.
And
it's not a
true,
lie.
true. All right, you're half and half. No, that's not like me. No, I never said that. And just know to whatever your rebuttal's going to be. I like the movie a lot. I like Brie Larson, as I was saying to you earlier. I like her as an actress. She did really well. And one thing I like about the way she was in this movie is I didn't feel like I was watching Brie Larson. I felt like I was watching Carol Danvers.
Fair point.
Or I was watching Captain Marvel. I wasn't watching her act in a movie. I felt like she fit the character very well. She did, like, everything she did, like, her sarcasm, her quick wit, her humor that she throws in there and they try to like push her away from it. I think she does a really, really good job of just like kind of portraying exactly who the character is. And she doesn't stray from it. It's not like, oh, she's this like funny, quick-witted person in the beginning and then she's not like that anymore. She's like that throughout the entire movie.
She's always like that, yeah.
Which I think is really good because a lot of times like in like character development, sometimes the character kind of switches a little bit.
Yeah.
They're not the same person from start to end, and I feel like her personality never like wavers. It's always the same, which I think is a very, very strong point to like just building a character in general. And then like CGI, I think they did a really good job. Again, I'm not a stickler for that, so if something to me looks cool, it looks cool. There's no like, well, that blood spot over there, it didn't really look right.
Exactly. It's like we're not in the industry of visual effects, so we don't notice.
Like that scroll transition was a little off when he changed into that human. Like, no, like that. Also, I did like the humorous part of where they changed into the same girl on the beach.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. This one's taken.
Yeah, that was good. The scrolls were really done well, man.
Yeah, and I think again, like how you said, I haven't read anything. I didn't know anything beforehand. I love the plot twist of you're back in her memory and you think, oh, here comes the scroll, and it's the other guy. What was his name?
It's the dude.
I'm blanking on Jude Law's name as well, so let us know in the comments below. I'm totally blanking on it right now.
So Jude Law comes out and he's just like ready to pop and he's like, I'm not going to hurt you. And she's like, oh, this is what you want. Bang. Like, I love that it's not the other guy because like in the memory, when it's the scroll, he's getting ready to just shoot her.
Exactly.
So you think in like the back of your head, oh, so this is what happened. She gets shot and instead of dying for whatever reason, what he shot her with did it. You know what I mean? It's not the like her shooting the core and gaining the power instead of dying type thing. Which I really like that twist, and I guess it's a twist for people that haven't read or anything like that. But to me, that was a really good way of kind of flipping the story, because now it's like, oh crap, you're right. The scrolls actually aren't really that bad, at least to her knowledge, and it's like maybe I should be helping these people out because the Kree seemed to be a lot worse than what she thought.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot, and I mean, there wasn't. I don't know. I mean, I liked the movie through and through, and even with the distraction of Odell getting traded, I still was very able to enjoy the movie throughout. So I mean,
I'm sure. Like, I have some dislike that we'll get into, but like, as speaking of like, hey Pete, did this live up to your expectations of who Carol Danvers is? Yes, it did. Do I love the movie like it's the greatest thing in the world? No, I have my problems with it, but I see so much potential for her in Endgame. For most likely a Captain Marvel 2. If that was any doubt, look at how much money it's made already. So, like, there's definitely going to be some kind of sequel there in the near future.
There's got to be.
But I think they nailed it. I think they nailed who Carol is. I think Brie Larson nailed it. She hits the emotional beats, okay? She can go into tears at one point, but she could also show her badass tough side. And they really, the thing I was afraid is, like, are you going to be able to nail Carol's sarcasm? That quick wit.
Yep.
I think Brie Larson was perfect for it. And I had my doubts because, like, I'm not the biggest Brie Larson fan in the world.
Yeah.
It's some things I've liked her. Other things I'm like, she wasn't that great. But, like, in this, I really do feel like she became Carol.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Gambler with Mark Wahlberg and Brie Larson.
I've seen parts of it.
She's very quick-witted in that too. And that's that's the style it reminded me of.
I remember her from...
I think that's where I remember her from.
I remember her from Kong, like Skull Island, and I didn't like her in there at all. Like, I just thought she was just bland. Like, there was nothing really there. And that's a criticism that the actress does get. And I feel like she nailed it here where, like, one of my favorite scenes is when, she unleashes her powers and she's sitting on that railing with the, the Fonz, little lunchbox. Yeah. And she just goes, oh, hey, guys. She's like, you want to arm wrestle for the Tesseract? Like, that is so Carol. Like, that's, like, right off the page there of saying something like that. Yep. And I love that. I love that they capture that because I think that's the hardest part of her character to capture. And they really nailed it. There was a comic book that I was reading recently where she is this ship called Harrison, right? And so the ship is an AI, like, can talk to her or whatever. And she was able to, like, she's been training him how to, like, have humor. Yeah. And so, like, he uses it against her at one point where he's just like, oh, I still haven't learned my up dog. And she's like, what's up dog? And he used that joke on her, and he's just like, oh, nothing. Nothing. Dude, what's up with you? And she goes, I'm really regretting putting your humor function in. And
I love that joke. That's one of my favorite jokes
so, like,
in the playbook.
having that type of humor, I love that they had that part of it. I love that they show how badass she is. And now, I had a few friends that addressing them of, like, and other people as well said, oh, she's not feminine enough.
How many? Well, before we get into that doozy of a comment, how many friends did you go with the first night?
The first time there was 12 of us,
and all 11 didn't like it.
There was one person that loved it.
Okay,
there was me and a few other people. Me being the highest degree that liked it. Okay, and the rest of them did not like it.
So out of the 12, you'd say what, 7 didn't like it?
Yeah, at least, and there was a couple of them that downright hated it. Like, hated it. Like, just really thought it was, like, one of the worst Marvel movies.
Wow. Well, so everyone has their own opinion.
Yeah, so that's why it was I wanted to see it with other people, too, and see it a second time to see, was I being biased? I don't think I was. It was just, maybe they're cynical, maybe they have their own opinions, and they just don't like it. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
But, like, some people did say, and I saw comments, and some of the people I was with the first time said, oh, she's not feminine enough. And I'm like, she has her feminine qualities. She is a female. But that's not who she is, though.
But if she's a female, that makes her feminine enough.
That's what
right.
I agree.
Correct.
Like,
there shouldn't be any meter there.
There's no,
and sometimes there is characters, let's say in Marvel Comics, right, that their femininity, that side of them is more pertained to that character. It fits them. It doesn't fit with her.
No, not at all.
She's not like that. And I feel like the movie does a great job of that. Look at her flashbacks. She's a tomboy.
She's tough-ass,
always been a tomboy.
Navy pilot.
She's out there in the Air Force, okay, doing government projects because that's the only way they get to fly, okay? Let's go back before that. She's racing when her dad and everyone's telling her brother's telling her no, right? She's saying, "Oh, well, you let him race, right?" And she's smiling when she gets up after she just had an accident. She's bleeding. You see her on her bike with a ramp, and she falls down there.
Falls off the ramp.
Notice one of the underrated ones because it's only shown once. When she's going through like her hero moment of like breaking away from the Supreme Intelligence, she's playing baseball. She ain't playing softball. Yeah. Okay, she's playing with the guys, and she's playing baseball, and they're throwing an inside pitch into her and knocking her down.
Throwing her at
Probably
her head,
also because she's a girl, and they're going after her like that. She's always been a tomboy.
The army scene too. when she's jumping from rope
right?
to rope.
And everyone's going after her.
And they're like,
saying,
you're too weak.
You're going to kill yourself. Just give up, right?
Yep.
Nice try or whatever. She's always had that perseverance. That is the type of character where later on in the movie, it's not a reach. She's been like that since she was a child.
Yep.
And they show it. So addressing that point, I don't agree.
I don't agree with it at all. As you said, there shouldn't be any meter.
Yeah.
That a girl has to be.
People do put it on a meter, though.
But I feel like there shouldn't.
There shouldn't be, though.
That a girl, whether a girl is a tomboy or whether a girl is extremely feminine, it doesn't.
When you look at her, do you think that's a girl or that's a guy? You think that's a girl? Guess what? That means she's female. That means she's
Sure,
she's a feminine character.
Right. That's like saying, how often do you hear, "Wow, that guy wasn't masculine enough," and after like a movie?
No, it's true.
Like I've
No,
never heard that.
And
Never
that's the
heard the
thing
comment.
that women have to deal with, and that's why it pisses me off. Of like they have to deal with comments like that, and we see in the movie, right? One classic, and I said it to you in the car. Woman comment, right, is when the guy pulls up on the bike and she's reading the map, right? Oh, can I get a smile from me, honey?
Oh,
she doesn't have to give you anything, and that's why I think that
I-
scene at the end when she hits Jude Law is like, I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to
hear
give you
I've
anything.
heard comments like that so often,
And
I'm sure
I've
do
heard
too.
it in real
Yeah.
life,
Oh,
and like it's
absolutely.
a real thing that women have to deal with.
Yeah.
And like I'm glad that she didn't say anything; she just smirked. And you know what she does? She takes his bike. Like that is the perfect way to get back at him.
Yeah.
And you know what? Right there, that's her character. She's not driving some little Prius.
Right.
She's
driving a
got the
motorbike.
motorcycle
Yeah,
jacket
hell
on
yeah.
with the glasses, and she's got a motorcycle.
Driving on the wrong side of the road, just
Well, yeah,
swerving around
that's
doing
because
her
she don't know what
thing.
the hell's going on.
Yeah.
She forgot how Earth kind of
Also,
customs for the
before
road
we
guy.
hop into dislikes, there was another scene I really liked, and it was after the railing scene.
Yeah.
where she's fighting Jude Law's character.
Yeah.
God, I wish we could remember
I
his
know.
name.
Tell us, please. Don't
And he hits the lunchbox out of her hand or whatever, and it opens
That's
up.
good.
And he's like, "Oh, nice distraction." She goes, "Oh, I could have swore I put it in there." And I love that because it was just like, even in the midst of all this, she just took out basically everybody but him left, and she's just like cracking a joke.
No, it's
I
perfect.
love it.
And it's not in a way that it's doesn't feel like it fits a character.
Right.
It's not in a way that it's a Deadpool like
it's not
cracking
out
a
of
joke.
place, yeah.
It just fits her. It's a
Yeah.
quick-witted, little sarcastic thing, and I like that. I do want to say, likes, obviously, I would assume we're staying in more, so I don't mind that we're staying
Sure,
here.
sure.
You guys
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to talk about it more? How'd you feel about Nick Fury in this movie?
I loved Fury in this movie.
Talk about the de-aging, first of all, on
Yeah.
CGI. What a job that
Phenomenal.
team did. Amazing.
Phenomenal. And I mean, I loved his character. I loved like his little connection with Goose. I thought that at first, like, he was like so over the top with the cat. Like, I thought they were gonna make some sort of stink about it, but like it just kind of went on. You realize it was a flirky.
It's a flirkin.
A flirkin.
It's not a cat.
I remember like, the other guy's like, "That's a flirky." He's like, "It's a cat."
Yeah.
But I think I like how you kind of see the whole eye scene. Like,
Yeah.
all right, we see where Fury got his eye patch. But I think my favorite scene for him is like when he says, "Oh, my mom calls me Fury." Like, my dad calls me Fury. If I ever have kids, they're
call
going to
me
call me
Fury.
Fury.
Yeah.
And then he gets in the elevator and his boss goes, "Good work, Nicholas." And he goes,
Yeah, that immediately, and that's why he asked
turns to him and
he asked him the
knows.
question about
Yeah.
Havana because then he wanted to confirm, like, this is a scroll.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he tricks him into going onto the other floor so that he can run out.
That was a great scene. Yeah, and I think even his progression towards Carol Danvers, where at first, he's acting like he trusts her and believes her, but really it was just a ploy.
He
to
was
get her
doing
killed.
what a SHIELD agent does.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think when he realized that the Skrull had infiltrated his,
When they shoot at him.
yeah. And he's like, "Shit, I."
And it was also other SHIELD agents, remember? Remember
Yeah.
that woman's like, "Oh, we'll take him in dead or alive," and Coulson's like, "Dead or alive?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it was like,
Yeah.
whoa, what is
Yeah,
going
well,
on
yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I really enjoyed his character, and I purposely set this up as a host here, so got you. There was an article I read this week that addressed Nick Fury's masculinity, and they said that this movie demasculates him or whatever, and takes away what he is as a character.
Wait, is he emasculated because he befriends a cat?
He's emasculated because of the cat thing, and because of just how he acts, and they don't think he acts tough enough or badass enough. I want to address that point where I'm like,
What sites are writing these articles?
and these are people that cite. I could link it for you,
Oh
but
my
like,
God,
there's
dude.
numerous sites that
Dude,
people write this. stuff.
it's because
his movies cause a lot of stir.
No, it's because journalism is a dying field,
I
and
know.
so they have to.
I know
write-
it. Trust
and-
me.
Yeah, and so unfortunately, I mean, I have friends. My friend John too is obviously a journalist, but he's said it so many times too.
It is.
It's a dying field, and these people who have
and
nothing
it's dying
better.
because of this.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But it's also on its last limbs because of this, because of these clickbaity article titles that everyone turns to and goes to, and that drives up, clickbait and revenue, and it's disgusting,
Twitter.
man.
And I definitely Twitter. And I want to address that. Like, listen, okay, you can have your own opinions on this, but let's straight some facts. You ready for some facts here?
Yeah.
Why do you think Nick Fury is so different? He's so this movie emasculated him, right? Did it? When we see him most of the time, what is he? The director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Is he the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. in this movie? No, he's not whatsoever. He's a regular agent. He's obviously higher up than a rookie like Coulson, but he, as you see on his badge, he's tier 3. As director, he's tier 10. Okay, so he has a long way to progress there where he's changed.
Yeah.
Okay, also remember, Nick has obviously been in the Army. He was a brigadier, lieutenant or a colonel or whatever they said, right? He went through the Cold War. He did all that spy stuff. You don't think seeing a Skrull sitting in his car there, dead, was a little bit change of his life there, change of perspective? He hasn't gone through all these hardened battles.
He hasn't gotten hardened,
You see him create the Avenger Initiative. I believe, if I'm getting my dates right, and you could correct me if I'm wrong down below, in Winter Soldier, he mentions in the 90s, and I believe it's the later 90s after this, when him and Alexander Pierce go through a thing where he invades an embassy that things were going on, and he went against Pierce's orders, and he went in there, and that's when Pierce was like, oh, I knew you were going to be a high-level agent. I knew you could be a director of S.H.I.E.L.D. He hasn't done that yet. Okay, he hasn't gone through and made these extremely hard choices. I'm sure the Cold War, obviously horrible things, spy stuff he probably went through. He hasn't gone through this level of stuff. He's a different person, and I thought this brought out some of that side in him of that's underneath. You see those little moments. They cracked through in the movies that we saw before this, but this was before everything happened. Before where he's the boss of bosses as director. He can't play like this, okay? He can't fool around with a flirkin because he has to set an example and put on a persona in some ways. Not saying it's fake, but he has to put that out because everyone's looking to him in the entire agency. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
that's progression. It doesn't mean that we're taking away from what the character is and we're retconning it. That I wanted to stop.
Well, you put it like in the way you put it is correct. I agree. The way he's brought in is he's brought in as a normal human being, and obviously in the newer ones he's this like hardened badass,
of
no
20
emotion,
years.
like straightforward to the point. Like we have an agenda and we're gonna get it done. Because guess what? Like you said, he went through all that bullshit. Like this is just the start of it. Like out of high school, he went into the Army. He did all that. Yeah, he was a little bit like he was hardened there, but he came back. He's still a human. Like he has human emotions. He says things. He does things. Like, and it's like over time, he goes through a lot more shit. And eventually you go through so much stuff, it's like, okay, this is the norm. Like, I'm not going to react in a way that I would. Like, when he first sees the thing shoot at him, like, he's like, oh, shit. Like, he realizes what the hell's going on. When he sees the one in his car. You don't think it's masculine to crash your car into an oncoming car to kill the other guy?
Exactly.
Probably you would think injuring, maybe killing yourself in the process. Like, oh, yeah, no, that's emasculating to his character, right? Yeah. Just driving his car into another one to try and save his own life.
Yeah, and it just proves that whether male or female, he was being a hero there. And I don't think anything took away from his character there.
Absolutely
I think it went through the beats. Him seeing aliens for the first time, that's going to change who you are as a character.
I like what it did for his character.
And you know what I love, too, that made this movie work and so believable is him and Carol's relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I get why she would leave him the transponder to call her just in case. I get why he would call her. Not only because he's seen her be a one-man wrecking crew, one woman, in this case, wrecking crew, powerhouse, right? He says one woman defense force, I believe he says in the movie.
Yeah.
But he also forged a relationship with her as a person.
Yep.
Okay? And that's a hard thing to do in one movie, especially with one of those characters being a very established character that we've seen for 10 movies. Mm-hmm. They nailed that relationship. The chemistry between the two of them, I thought was absolutely fantastic. That sold the movie.
And it shows his level of respect for her in the case that she says only in case of emergency. And this is the first time you hear of her is when half the people on Earth have just been wiped out. So
it's not like Earth hasn't dealt with treacherous things in the past.
Not at all.
Or I should say half people in the universe.
Right.
So half of all species just got eviscerated. They're gone.
They're literally just
faded. That is the only emergency that was big enough in all of the universe that he witnessed or that had faced Earth for him to call her. That shows like the level of respect and how much like they truly need her and how strong she actually is. Like that's what caused her to be able to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree because we've seen, as I just had mentioned, like this planet has gone through some horrible stuff.
Oh
before.
yeah, in all the other movies,
life-threatening stuff, and he has never called her once.
Right.
Never used that lifeline, and he always had that lifeline available.
Yep.
And now this is when he uses it, which does show the respect. And as I touched on, I thought the relationship between those two, where they kind of didn't trust each other, and then seeing that bloom and blossom, I thought it was really well done.
Yep.
That take is complete. Honestly, it's just I think it's ridiculous.
Well, I'm using this review also to address all of these kind of takes, and one of the things that people also said was that, oh, why'd he never call her before when everything was happening? When New York was attacking, and Kevin Feige came out, obviously, you know, he leads Marvel, and he came out and said, how do you know he didn't? And she just didn't answer, right? Maybe she was busy. Maybe he didn't get to her,
That's
right?
very true.
He could have clicked it those other times. Or maybe it was just so bad this time where he's literally fading from existence that he goes, okay, this is an emergency. I need to call her.
I also think, I mean, yes, that's a good point. Where
I
may
like
have
the
called.
canon that he waited until this dire
Right, and I don't
situation.
think that means
I
it's
do
a
too.
plot hole.
No.
Like people are saying, oh, that's a plot hole. I don't
Plot
think
hole,
it is. You
no.
could say that in any movie. Why in Captain America Winter Soldier, right, when the Hydra is about to launch ships into the air and shoot and kill millions of people, where's Iron Man during that point? You could say that with any movie. You have to turn your brain off in some of these things of, okay, this is a solo movie, so we're not going to introduce every single character that you've seen before into it, and that's it. Stop with the legit. It's a comic book movie. Like, relax.
And the logistics aren't that crazy.
No, they're not. And it's totally plausible that Nick Fury, a super spy, just thought, okay, I don't think anything that's happened so far was that threatening.
Right.
I called her and she didn't answer. She'd been gone 25 years.
Also,
it also shows his trust in the current Avengers team to get the job
and that's
done.
why he wanted to
and
build
that was
the team at the end.
And that's what he created. That was his creation. So what would it do for that team if he preemptively called this, resort lifeline? Because all of a sudden you're basically saying to the Avengers, yeah, I didn't really trust you to get the job done.
And always bothering her when she's dealing with a Kree-Skrull war out there, always constantly calling her home. Like
in this case, the Avengers did fail, and they failed.
Yeah.
They lost against that.
Yeah,
and that's why he called. This is the first time they've lost, so it makes sense for him to finally call her. It makes perfect sense.
That they kind of address that in the sense that she says, "Oh, I fixed this. I fixed the range on it. It should work a couple galaxies away." Well, guess what? If she's more than a couple galaxies away, they're traveling at light speed. Guess what?
Exactly.
They might be a little bit more than a couple galaxies away, which means she's not getting it anyway.
Exactly. And yes, I understand it's advanced technology, but also, what if it reaches her 7 galaxies away, but it takes a lot longer to get there? Maybe she just didn't get the message as soon as it happened. It took a couple of years to get there. You don't know. There's so many fan theories or anything else that you could say, and I think the way Kevin Feige said it was perfect.
Yeah.
And that's that. It's not a plot hole.
I think to come out and just say that it's a plot hole and dislike it for that reason, I think at that point you're kind of looking for something.
Well, people say this movie's littered with plot holes, and that's why I'll.
And maybe I'm more of a casual fan.
I've been going after all those.
But you're a hardcore. I mean, you
listen. We could talk about what plot holes you want to talk about. Oh, the Tesseract is a plot hole. How is it a plot hole? It was originally on Asgard, and at some point came to Earth. It was in Norway. Red Skull gets it in 1942, 41, or whatever, okay? It goes into the ocean in 1944, 45 after he's defeated, and now we know he got transported and he's protecting the Soul Stone. Cap goes down, he freezes. Eventually, Howard Stark finds the Tesseract. He brings it into the SSR, which at that point was the early version of S.H.I.E.L.D., okay? Or him and Peggy Carter. You don't think that a Air Force project that's coupled with NASA, which is what Pegasus is, you don't think S.H.I.E.L.D. has involvement in that? S.H.I.E.L.D. knows everything. You think when Nick Fury went up to gate and said, agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., they were just like, oh, what the hell is S.H.I.E.L.D.? No, they let him in because he's part of S.H.I.E.L.D. Exactly. Okay. So you don't think that S.H.I.E.L.D. could have had that Tesseract and went, oh, they're doing some interesting work over there at Pegasus. Hey, take a look at this super possible energy solution for the entire planet. And Nick Fury had dealings in it because he introduces it to Dr. Selvig at the end of the first Thor movie, and they start working on it. And that's the whole plot line of what happens in the first Avengers movie, is why Loki's trying to get the Tesseract back. Thanos gives him the only stone that we know of at the time, the Mind Stone that was in the scepter, to get another stone. Where is it convoluted of where this is tracking? At some point, obviously, it was on Mar-Vell's ship, and then you see how it came back down to Earth in this movie. where is there a plot hole that I don't understand how you can't track that? It seems pretty simple to me.
People create their own plot holes.
I really,
Right, they really do.
I just don't understand that. With so many people were talking about how that's such a massive plot hole. Where? How is that a plot hole?
Well, Goose throws it right up on the front desk. So
Exactly.
that's all you really need to know.
And they even in the after credit scene there, they show you, look, it came back. You have to wonder, does the cat still have it?
Yeah.
They solved it. Boom, done. like ridiculous.
Does the cat still have the Tesseract?
Other things.
That would be a YouTube theory.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Other things I did like. I did like Maria Rambeau. I did like the way they did her. I did believe her being her best friend. I thought that conversation they had in the kitchen there when she's like, "Oh no, that wasn't hard." Everything that happened, it was hard that, my best friend shows up after 6 years in a project that is so secret that they pretend it never happened.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that stuff really
and with
worked.
like no memory of her. So
And
it's
Lieutenant
like,
Trouble there, with Monica.
I love that relationship.
I thought all of that worked with the three of them. They briefly say, hey, Carol didn't have a great relationship with her parents, okay?
Yep.
And this became her for real family, and she helped out Maria raise as a single mother. I thought all that stuff wasn't too focused on. I thought all their chemistry, though, worked perfectly.
Yep.
I thought the kid, actually, and kid actors a lot of times are really bad. I thought this girl nailed it.
Yeah.
I thought she was really
I
good.
think she did a very good
love
job.
how she kept rambling on there as what a kid would do when she was showing all the pictures.
Yeah.
Yep.
Love that
Yeah,
stuff.
it was good.
And it showed how much of an impact she had on them.
Yeah.
Because she's like, yeah, my mom won't let me wear your jacket anymore because I got ketchup on it. So it's like, even though she was gone for
Exactly.
6 years, the little girl still
Has been wearing it.
has been wearing it and thinking about her, and like she had such an impact on her at even such a young age. And when she comes back, she's immediately like, "Oh my God, hey, like it's you!"
Yeah,
you know?
that was perfect there, and just seeing like Maria's face of just like, is this really her?
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I like the connection of the two dog tags where Maria had one, and then I still can't think of Jude Law's character really had the other.
Yeah.
I thought that was
That's
really
why
nice.
they called her Veers, because that they had VERS.
Exactly. I thought that was a really, really nice connection there.
Yeah.
I can't think of the actress's name, but that played Dr. Mary Lawson there, which was actually
Yep.
Marvell. I thought she was really great. Interesting the way they did the Supreme Intelligence, but I liked it. In the comics, I don't think you guys know this, but the Supreme Intelligence, picture a green Kool-Aid man. That's what he usually looks like.
That's amazing. I'm a little disappointed they didn't do that.
Yeah, so basically look like that. The idea of the Supreme Intelligence is it's a Supreme Intelligence of every time a great mind dies in the Kree Empire, they go to the collective. And that's what Jude Law says there. If they go to the collective and you contribute to basically a hive mind, he's the leader of the Kree. He's not an actual person. He kind of just sits there like almost like a floating brain kind of thing.
Got you.
That might be a little bit hard for regular audiences to digest. So it's them saying nobody, he's divine. Nobody looks upon the Supreme Intelligence. He appears to you as the person you admire the most. I actually thought it was a really nice way of handling
I
that.
think it's a very good, because it's like, that means it really has no shape, but it takes the shape of someone that you'll listen
and
to.
it makes it
and
more
you'll
personal,
respect.
as they
Yeah.
said, which I really enjoyed there.
I think it's a good way of doing it.
and
as
the
well.
mystery, too, of like, she didn't know who that person was at first
Yeah.
for 6 years that she's been communing with it, and then how it all connects back.
She's
now.
like, I don't know why, but that's the person.
Yeah.
And then like she has no reason. She's like, I don't know. It's just some lady that she doesn't know who she is.
And how do you feel about the character of Marvell? That was the woman down there that was actually the Kree that was doing the experiments. What do you think about her character?
You can talk. We can cut this out. I'm just going to use the restroom. I have to go very
we can
badly.
take a break.
Oh, yeah, we'll take a break real quick.
So we took a quick bathroom recess there. So we're back. Obviously, it's a long review. So if you're going to still be with us at this point,
Thanks.
you knew it was going to be long. It's Captain Marvel here. This is what I've been waiting a decade for.
Absolutely.
But what we were saying, Calibro did look up. Jude Law is Jan Rog.
Jan Rog.
That was the
Yes.
name that we couldn't think of throughout this entire review. So thank you for that. Other characters I really liked. I like Ben Mendelsohn's Talos. He was the general, the Skrull general.
Yep.
I thought he hit those beats. Him doing the twist there, I guess, at the end, where it's his family that he's really going after, and that's what he cares about. He doesn't care about this light speed engine.
Yep.
He cares about bringing his family, bringing the refugees in. I thought it was an interesting take on the Skrulls. Have more to say about that, I think, in dislikes, but I do like his character overall, and I really enjoy. He's a great actor.
Yeah, he was great. Honestly, I didn't think there were any bad performances. But yeah, dislikes, I definitely have a little bit to say about the Skrulls and the Kree.
Yeah.
Which I've already kind of alluded
No,
to.
no. That's totally fine there. But like, I think nailing the relationships that she had with Maria Rambeau, with Nick Fury. I like Coulson here.
Yeah.
He's de-aged a little bit there, Clark Gregg. He's not in the movie a ton, but I do enjoy showing the early progression of his connection to Fury and why he's so loyal to him and how he's an outside-the-box thinker. Fits also more into his show of why Fury trusts him later on to run S.H.I.E.L.D. when Fury kind of goes dark after Winter Soldier. Really like that as how he let them go and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that. And then we also get another de-aged performance, a lot of this, in Lee Pace's Ronin. If you remember, Ronin the Accuser was the villain of the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
That's right.
So we get a little bit of him in here. Very, very short cameo, which was kind of sad. But seeing his progression of he used to be super into being an accuser, which is kind of like an elite like judge military group of the Kree. He's, I guess, part of the bombing crew, kind of what he's doing.
Yeah.
You see how intense he is in this Kree-Skrull war. Something obviously happens along the lines that maybe they would do in a Captain Marvel 2, where he changes and he becomes a Kree fanatic that turns his attentions to the people of Xandar and hating them.
Yeah.
If you haven't noticed, the Kree fight a lot of wars against a lot of people.
Yep.
Okay, it's kind of what they do. So I thought having a little bit of cameo there. We also bring back, I can't say the actor's name. It's like Husan or whatever. He plays Korath. He's also the right-hand man that Drax kills in Guardians of the Galaxy for Ronin. You saw him as part of the Star Force. He was the one of the black guys there that was with Jude Law's Yan-Ra. The guy with the swords?
Yes. Were the Kree the main villains of Guardians of the Galaxy?
No, it was Ronin was a Kree and Korath was a former Kree, but they actually used other soldiers that were not Kree then, because he split off from the Kree. They kind of denounced his attacks at some point. So at some point he became such a religious fanatic.
The Kree was never, though. This was their first main movie.
This
right?
was their they've always been shown as like Ronin, like they're not great, but this was the first front and center. This is the first time we see Hala, which is their capital world.
Okay.
So that was a big deal for comic book readers, people like me. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any other likes? Anything you really want to talk about? Performances?
I'm good.
Scenes? I thought her hero moment, people also shouted out that, they didn't feel like she had a hero moment. I thought her against the Supreme Intelligence,
that was
unleashing her full power, I thought that was a very big hero.
How was that not a hero moment?
I know, people said it wasn't. I thought with the music, everything that was playing in that scene.
With the flashbacks, too,
and then,
it's showing her as a
and
person.
her just standing up every time. Like, that was perfect. I love that.
It shows her, as she says, without us, you're nothing. Well, before them, she still got up. And then while she has the power, she's like, wait, screw this. She rips that thing out, and she's like, I don't need you. I've gotten up every single time I got knocked down. I'm going to get up again.
Yeah, I've been fighting
gets up and walks right
with
to
one
her.
arm tied behind my back. What happens? And she throws it when that's unleashed, and I was like, cool.
That was an awesome.
That was chilling for me. I really
was a very big moment.
And then having that.
Another is the end credit scene. I mean, we haven't talked
we'll go
about
to
it.
there.
Okay.
But having that fight scene too that we talked about where she's fighting, all the rest of Star Force, having I'm Just a Girl, as we were singing before this, perfect 90s song and fits with her character too.
Yeah.
I really love this song. The soundtrack, as I said, throughout was.
And it really reminded me that Gwen Stefani should never have left one doubt. No doubt. And Cal said that to me when the movie
a little bit of Nirvana was in this too.
Nirvana, Some Come As You Were, great song.
So I
a little bit of Red Hot Chili Peppers. It was a good movie.
I enjoyed the movie, and I love the scene too. Is her realization that she's been lied to, and that Maria Rambeau brings her back, and she's like, "Oh, I don't even know who I am," and she's crying about it, and that Maria reminds her who she was. You were a badass even before you could shoot fire from your hands. That. Love that scene.
Yeah,
really enjoy that scene. So I would say we're transitioning here into dislikes. I don't have as much. I don't think we all do. That's why we focus so much in the other section. So again, if you're still with us, thank you very much. Dislikes. My major dislike, and it's really my only major dislike. I don't like Nick Fury getting the Avenger initiative from her, and her nickname in the Air Force being Avenger. That feels too forced. I think it's too. Trying to connect all the movies way too much, and I didn't enjoy that at all. I think keeping it as the Protector Initiative, and then at some point he names it the Avenger Initiative, I think would have been way better.
I don't hate that.
I mean, a lot of times her nickname in the comics is Cheeseburger in the Air Force, so you didn't need that.
Well, her nickname was Ace.
Oh, that's a common phrase, but like her nickname on the actual
plane
was Avenger.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like, she called her Ace in the movie.
Yeah.
It's not that the name Avenger
Did you just think of something?
No, yeah, I can't say it.
The name Avenger didn't come up at all until right at the end.
Yeah.
So it's like,
but you don't feel like that's shoehorned in a little bit?
No, I actually liked it.
I don't like that at all.
I like the way they did it, but if they had at any point, like maybe on her jacket it said Avenger on it, then there's that like it's just a different connection where it's like not right at the end. Oh, by the way, she's connected to the Avengers.
Right.
If they connected it, still could have had the same way where he like, even if it was on her jacket and he didn't change it until the end when he looked at the picture.
Right.
That's fine. I just feel like they were missing one link there.
That's fair.
I still liked it personally. I didn't dislike
that's
that,
fair. That's fair. People did.
I think that would have been a better way of connecting.
Yeah, I just did not do it for me.
That's fair. I didn't have an issue with it. I thought it was kind of cool. My dislike stems from, and I thought it kind of hurt the movie a little bit. I just thought that the lengths that the Kree were going to kill off this group, I felt like was not. I don't know. It's an origin movie. You have to focus more on Captain Marvel, and I thought they did really well with her, obviously. Yeah. But I felt like the reason that they were going to such lengths to wipe out this group was not well expanded on really at all. And if the reason is true that they just didn't obey to your power or your rule, I feel like that's kind of I mean, sure, it's a silly reason, but again, it's a comic book universe, so I mean, whatever.
It also could be a true reason. I mean, look at how many in history of wiping out.
Oh
people.
no, 100%. No, 100%. It is a fair reason, but at some point in the Kree's line of trying to take over all these planets, they would have run into another group that would have resisted them, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So are they fighting wars on like?
They are. They do.
But I wish that was touched on more because as someone who's a casual and doesn't read comics, I felt like it was like, wow, they're really using like almost, I feel like all of their resources to just go after this little group of people.
I think that one, they were close to wiping them out, so I think that's why there's more of a focus, because how they said there's so few of them left.
Yeah.
So he's like, if you don't find them, I'm just going to blow up the whole planet. That way we don't have to deal with them at all. Because I think it was less of a, we're going to use all our resources, and more of a, I don't really care where they are or what they're doing. I'm just going to get rid of them so I don't have to deal with them anymore.
Right, but I wish that I just wish the rivalry was expanded on a little bit.
I also think, I agree. I think that they could have touched maybe a little bit more on the backstory behind why they're at war.
The motivation, Kree's motivation.
Yeah, but I think
should have been touched.
They, with Marvel's character, she says to her constantly, like in the memories and everything, the war's a lot bigger than you think. There's a lot more going on. So we don't get the reason, but it's almost like her telling us, like, just understand that there's a lot more going on than just what's going on right now.
Like she was talking to the viewer and not.
Yeah. So it's almost breaking the fourth wall in a sense. She's telling us, hey, there's a lot in the background you're not getting to see, but just understand it's bigger than just, 6 of these scrolls coming onto Earth to find Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot bigger than that.
It's not to fight wars, it's to end them, remember? She keeps saying that over and over. Yeah. And I do agree. It's one of my dislikes of not expanding on it more, but also what they did to the Skrulls. In the comics, the Skrulls are pretty shitty. They made them very sympathetic in this movie, and like, they're just refugees. Yes, the Skrulls have been refugees numerous times in the comics, but they're also out for their own devices. They're also not a good race of people for the most part.
See, I would have never known that.
And
I would have never
and that's
assumed
what the movie turns to, and that's why in the comics, the Kree-Skrull War, there's no side you really side with because they're both really, really crappy.
It's a gray war.
It's a very gray war, and I feel like there was only one line in this entire movie that hinted that is when Talos says, my hands are filthy from this too.
Yeah.
Right, so it implies, and obviously you see with his skills, he's a soldier, he's killed, okay?
Yep.
That's the only line. Otherwise, what do we get from the Kree? We get basically propaganda. They're terrorists. You see them put it in the very beginning that, it's been 120 days since a Skrull, attack or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what they're viewed as. This group has been viewed as terrorists. And that's why, just like we do here in the United States, you want to go after a terrorist cell, right? It's a threat.
Yep.
That's how the Kree view it. That's why they're so intense about it. Ronan says a point where he says, a Skrull cell is a threat to all Kree. That's how they view it. And that's why they're so intense on it. But I do dislike that how sympathetic they made the Skrulls and didn't keep it in that gray area and how they didn't expand upon it more.
I'm going to touch on that just a little bit because
sure.
I agree. And I feel like they kind of started to do that when it was the Kree going in to get their spy.
Yeah.
And they go in there and it's actually all the Skrulls like in disguise.
Yeah.
And you kind of think, oh wow, these guys are like real badass because they're shape shifting and they're sitting around here and they've got like they're villains, you know, like that. The way you get it portrayed right in the beginning is, wow, these Skrulls are really bad, which makes the twist that much better. But from that point on, after she gets in the fight with the Skrull on Earth, it's like the Skrulls immediately become the good guys when what's his name, the leader of them, Talos walks into the house.
Exactly.
And he's like, look, I'm not here to fight. I just want you to listen to this tape and you'll understand. And it's like, first of all, especially the way she reacts to the neighbor, as if bless you, as like she's ready to just shoot him right then. Like great. I like thought she was gonna just get up. But
that adds to that element that you like, where you don't know
it's
who
like a
to
thriller
trust.
movie at times.
And that was a dislike I had in that scene. Yeah, it's funny and everything, but in the beginning of that scene, there's such a horror where Maria looks at the window and she's also out there because a Skrull is literally hovering right over her daughter.
That
right?
was so creepy.
So it's intense. And then they immediately suck it out with some comedy and, oh, hey, we got a truce. It kind of sucks the air out of that scene.
Well, the cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the cat comes in and he's like, whoa, what is that?
And that's the first time he says that, that's not a cat. And
yeah.
General viewers would be like, oh, shit. Maybe it's not.
Yeah,
and then obviously see that later. But by the way, I would say I think we all agree that alike was Goose the cat or the Flurkin. He was great.
Oh yeah, Goose was phenomenal.
Well, I had seen people that had tweeted and said the cat needs its own movie, and I didn't know what they meant until I saw the movie.
And if you're wondering also why, as a quick side note of why every time they go somewhere, he seems to be there all the time. Mm-hmm. In him is pocket universes. So that's how he's able to put the Tesseract somewhere. He also can use those universes to like teleport around. So that's why he always seems like he's always there because he can do that.
I even said that. I looked at Dean. I'm like, the freaking cat's there again. Because like, everywhere they went, the cat was just like walking on the side.
Yeah, he's part of a very rare and pretty much dead race of. They're very powerful. They're very coveted.
Yeah.
So that's also why the Kree were capturing him too, because they could sell him for boatloads of money or use him as a weapon.
I also, this is kind of jumping back into likes, but it just reminded me of it when they're doing the scan of all the species.
That was great.
And they scan the thing, and it's like Falcon, like extremely dangerous, and then it's like human male, like low to no threat at all, and he goes, "Damn, that thing must be broken."
Yeah. See, that was good comedy there. But yeah, I don't have really any other huge. Just like the only other thing that like was okay, it wasn't great, was him how he lost his eye, how Fury lost his eye.
Oh, the cat scratch.
Like I'm okay with it. I don't hate it like some people do. I did imagine though that he would have lost it in a way more badass way.
Yeah.
Now. To be fair, it's not a cat, it's a Flurkin. Flurkin are dangerous, and Talos makes a comment of like, he's like, I'll be fine, it's just a scratch. And Talos is like, no.
Yeah, just a scratch.
It's not. So it's a very powerful species and it also makes sense for Nick Fury's character of like, he doesn't really trust people even at that point, right? And obviously he's seen what happened with Skrulls. He does trust this cat-like thing, right?
Yeah.
And even trusting that caused him to lose an eye, because he said the last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye. I just thought it would be more badass. So, like, it's okay. Especially that they teased him having an eye injury with a car accident earlier, and then that's how you did it.
I think it was kind of humor. It was kind of the humor element that took over.
It was totally a humor element.
Because, like, even when he's in the office and the guy comes in and he's like, oh, how did that happen? Like, get blasted off or something like that.
And it starts the rumors.
And he's like, I will not, like, accept or deny those allegations.
Yeah.
Like
that he was being tortured. That was funny. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have really any other dislikes?
No.
Guys? Anything you really want to talk? I really don't. Yeah. All right, so now before we get into a rating, I think we should talk about our two after credit scenes.
Sure. Okay.
So obviously with the second one, it's a comedy scene.
Yeah.
Not much to say. It connects, it's the furball hairball thing of the Flurkin spitting up the Tesseract. Yeah. That's just it's a funny scene, but it's also confirmed for people being like, we never saw where it went. Like as we touched on earlier, it's there. The first scene though, literal chills.
Yeah.
Okay, I knew it was going to be some kind of Endgame connection, but I thought it was going to be Captain Marvel on the other side of the universe getting the signal where her thing like beeps like a because it is really a beeper. It's an advanced beeper that she tricked out, and seeing that, I thought she was going to look and go, oh no, and then boom, like she takes off. I have to go,
light speed,
and then it ends.
Yeah,
to get Black Widow, Cap, the Hulk. Okay, you would get Rhodey in there. That was awesome and totally unexpected.
Yeah.
For them to fill that scene. That scene is, by the way, directed by the Russo brothers, who did Civil War, who did Infinity War, and are doing Endgame. So that was specifically directed by them.
I really like that they're kind of all in that room because they're like, I wonder what this is for, but it's not even working anymore.
And they keep, and Black Widow being the one that's loyal to Nick Fury, keeps going, send it again.
Yeah, send it again.
And Cap is there too, like, if Fury had it, because obviously they had to find where Fury was to find he disappeared, it must mean something. Who is on the other side of this? Somebody had to get this signal, and it was someone Fury trusted. And I love that.
It just ends with, where's Fury?
I love
that.
Get that she's instantly there, too.
Yeah.
And, like, she has a little bit of sadness, but a little bit of, like, anger in her of, like, where's Fury? Boom. They better, and I was saying to Count Carr, they better continue that scene in Endgame. If we just jump and everybody's buddy, that will really annoy me. I want them to be like, who the hell are you?
How did you know Fury? Oh, they will.
That and the Ant-Man scene, they better not skip over. Those better be full-fledged scenes, especially the Captain Marvel, because you got to bring her in.
It was the first scene in a while where like the hairs on my neck actually stood up. Like when the camera turned and she was just there, it's like, Jesus Christ.
And also a theory could be true of like, how did she get in so quickly? It could have been Goose the cat. He could have teleported in there, right?
That's
how she appears.
That's true.
Could have been that.
That's true.
Or she is that fast too that she could have just appeared in there.
Yeah.
Great scene.
It was absolutely fantastic scene. Cannot wait till that comes out on DVD. Actually, people have put it up like illegally, and so like you can watch it a little bit there on YouTube, and it's still chills every freaking time.
Yeah.
So I guess we're jumping in here to rating. I think we've talked long enough. So if you guys have been with us to the rating part, thank you. I will put timestamps down below.
And leave yours down below. I always love reading people's ratings.
Definitely leave yours down below. Not my like most fantastic. Oh, this is the greatest movie. Not being biased, she's my favorite superhero, but there is room for improvement. The second time around, I think I gave it a 7 the first time around. The second time around, I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10. I think there is things that I don't like. They are nitpicky. There is things that could have been expanded on, or the Avenger thing really just I didn't really like at all. But they nailed Carol. They gave me a reason to wait the 10 years to wait for this freaking movie since I discovered her, and I really love that. I love what they did with Nick Fury, forging that relationship. All the other characters, can't wait for a second one.
I guess I'll go next. I'm like in between an 8 and an 8.5.
Putting you on the spot. You got to choose right now.
All right, I'm going to go 8.5, and maybe not even 100% because of the plot of the movie as much as the way they developed the characters and nailed the characters.
Yeah.
Like, I think that as a movie, it's something that almost goes overlooked. Like, for instance, in like Infinity War and stuff like that. Like, all the characters are developed in those movies.
Exactly.
So it's an
assembly movie.
It's
Avengers Assemble.
It's constant action packed. Like, this is going on, that's going on. These people are over here, that guy's over there.
Yeah.
There's so much going on that you're just constantly sitting there like, wow, okay, wow, this, that. But like in this type of movie, slower paced. Don't give me that look.
It's an origin film.
No, it's slower paced. You're building up the story, and I just love the way that I really think they nailed all the characters. So that's why I would.
How could you not love Carol? When probably the best fight scene in the movie when her hands are bound, she's knocking all these scroll people around, and then. How do you not love her humor? You guys wouldn't know how to get these off, would you?
Yeah.
No? And then screams back at the scroll.
Oh, I love that.
Like, come on.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. Been dancing.
Spot,
I've been dancing around a couple numbers. I'm going to give it a 7.5. It was either that or an 8, but I'm going to give a 7.5. Which, by the way, if I would give something a 6.5 or above, I genuinely like it.
Right.
And a 7.5 solid. I thought it was a really good movie. There were things that I didn't love. Of course, I thought the war was a little done kind of. I thought the fight. Then again, you know what? It maybe was a bigger analogy for war a lot of the times is kind of pointless.
It could have been, but more detail could have been put in there.
Yeah.
To establish the villain.
She was 100% the highlight, though. MVP. Loved her character. Loved Captain. Cannot wait to see her in Endgame. It's going to be so good.
Literal
and
chills.
Yeah, that end credit scene was great. And overall, it was a really good movie. I can't complain. My expectations were definitely not as high as yours.
Yes.
Because I don't like to go in with sky high expectations.
Yeah.
And after everything,
the only time I did.
After everything that I heard, I had no idea what to think. Exactly. I had no idea if the the 4chan people were being honest, which. there never are. I had no idea whether to think this was a masterpiece, as some people had said.
Yeah.
And I think that it falls on closer to the masterpiece side than the absolutely atrocious
Yeah,
side.
definitely.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a good movie. Very good, solid origin movie.
Yep.
There's
agree.
not too many origin movies that I'd give an amazing, 10 out of 10 to. This one was one of my favorite ones, though.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was a really solid movie. Would love a sequel. Can't wait to see her in Endgame. And yeah,
Can't wait.
happy about it.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think that kind of wraps up our thoughts here on Captain Marvel, the latest entry here to the MCU. Guys, we are like a month and a half away from Endgame, so we will definitely be back for that. If you thought this review was long, you can't imagine what that review is going
Nick
to
T
be
will
like.
be here for that.
Exactly.
And Nick T
so
just-
if you
At a minimum, we'll have one more person.
if you
Yeah.
stayed this long, we're probably at like 90 minutes now, even after it's edited. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. There will be timestamps down below to a whole bunch of stuff because if you want to skip around, I totally encourage that. Thank you, Cal.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dylan.
You're welcome, man.
for
Thank you.
for coming on the channel
Thank you.
and reviewing this movie.
Anytime.
It still wasn't the greatest movie ever, but man, it did live up, at least Carol, to my expectations.
Yep.
Can't wait to see
I
her in
love that
Endgame.
character.
Guys, we want to know what you thought down below. Let us know your rating. Dylan loves reading stuff like that.
I do.
Let us know,
too.
even if you didn't like the movie. Just give fair criticisms down below, and we could have a conversation down below. I want to hear all your thoughts,
Absolutely.
likes, dislikes, predictions. What are your feelings on going into Endgame and her going into Endgame, Captain Marvel? Let us know down below. Also, I did shout out that they didn't straight up say her name is Captain Marvel in the movie.
They never did, yeah.
You just see that she was a captain in the Air Force, and that Marvel was someone who inspired her, right?
Yep.
They make a joke, her and Nick Fury, about Marvel. There you go.
Yeah,
So
love it.
I like that it was very subtle there. But let us know all that stuff down below. Like the video, subscribe, share with your friends if you be so kind, guys. And until next review, which will probably be Endgame, so can't wait for that. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.